The Pacific Autism Center for Education, or PACE, provides high-quality programs for individuals with autism and other developmental disabilities in the Bay Area. Joining us today from PACE is Karen Kennan, the Assistant Executive Director of PACE. But we also have with us today attorney Mark Gilfix, who specializes in special needs estate planning. We'll talk about what this means in a moment, but welcome.
Thank you.
So Karen, tell us a little bit about what PACE does.
PACE is a nonprofit organization that's located in Santa Clara, California, and as you indicated, we provide for the special needs of children and adults with autism. Right. We do it in 3 primary programs. We have a non-public school for children ages 6 to 22 for moderately to severely impacted individuals. We have a children's program for children who are primarily under the age of 6 or elementary age who need direct therapy or want to attend our preschool. And then we also have 6 residential group homes located throughout the South Bay for people who can no longer live in their family home, who need a place to stay.
Well, we have an example of one of the, I guess, the clients or the of PACE. We want to kind of tell their story. So let's take a look at that.
We adopted Brad when he was 4 months old, and there's less difference when they're little, but he was different. Babies understand basic things, and he didn't. There is a sense of isolation when you're raising a child that can't really function out in society, and he looks normal, but he doesn't always act normal. He has his acting out behaviors that it takes somebody that knows him and knows autism to work with that.
The mission of PACE is to provide quality programs and support for both the parents and the children affected by autism, from early intervention with young children all the way to adulthood and beyond. PACE is really in the business of providing hope. And it's that hope that PACE provides that help inspire a greater quality of life for the individuals that we serve.
Karen, are your clients, like Brad, typically able to live and work on their own?
The clients that reside in our group homes typically are not able to live independently, and that is the reason they need to live in a group home like the ones that we're able to provide.
Okay, and Mark, let's get to you and your definition of special needs, because we've said it over and over, but what does that mean from a legal standpoint?
Right, well, it's a pretty broad definition. It can be pretty much anyone who, as a result of a disability, can't hold long-term employment, can't care for themselves. And the important thing about this is once you turn 18 years old and you qualify as special needs or disabled, there are several government programs and government benefits that are available to you.
I see. Okay, so now what is the biggest fear that you see from parents who have special needs children?
Well, it's something I think every parent worries about their child's future, no matter what.
True.
Especially after they're gone. But for special needs children, these worries are even more acute. We see such fear in parents' eyes when they come to see us. They're just terrified of the idea. It's so much work to care for a special needs child during their lives, as Karen knows. And after parents are gone, they have no idea what's going to happen, who's going to care for them, how are they going to get
or how
the
are
care
they going to be able to afford to,
and how are they going to be able to afford to, especially in a place like the Bay Area where everything's so expensive.
Right.
And if I could just jump in, I have to say one of the most poignant things I ever heard from a parent was a parent who said to me, "I'm 70 years old and I am afraid to die because I don't know what's going to happen with my child after I'm gone."
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So how can the parents deal with, the challenges? Karen, maybe this is a great question for you. How can they deal with the challenges that special needs adults face, especially when it comes to housing?
It's a really good question, and housing is a critical need in the community right now. The statistics are that there's something like 14,000 young adults 22 and over who are entering into the community, and that number is going to triple in the next 10 years. So there is a critical housing shortage, and so the need for planning ahead is something that every parent needs to do, and they need to start thinking about it not when their child's 22, but when their child is really young.
And do you have some counseling? I mean, obviously, Mark is a great resource, but does PACE provide this kind of counseling for parents?
We like to work with families through the transitions in their lives, and so we start with them where they are. If they come to us when they're young, when their children are young, and work with them throughout the child's lifetime to help counsel them or to send them to people who can provide the resources that they need.
Okay, well, Mark, of course, one of the big questions people are going to have is if I pass away and my child inherits everything from me, will then they become disqualified for Medi-Cal and SSI?
Absolutely. So that's a huge issue. So and you mentioned SSI and Medi-Cal. Those are the two of the primary benefit programs available to disabled individuals: supplemental security income and Medi-Cal. And you're right. These are need-based programs. So if you have over a certain amount of assets, you're no longer eligible for these programs.
Right.
And if a child inherits from their parents in their own name, they no longer get these benefits. This is why it's so absolutely critical for parents to set up what we call special needs trusts for their children. And this is a way to leave money for your special needs child in a way that's protected, where you can name the trustee who will oversee it and manage the money for your child. And it doesn't count against eligibility for these programs. You can leave a house to a special needs trust to provide housing for your child. You can also just leave other assets or cash for them. And a special needs trust provides kind of a lifelong safety net for your child. And this is something that can really answer those fears, like the 70-year-old parent who's scared of dying because they don't know what will happen to their child. Creating and funding a special needs trust, something that we at Gilfix and the Paul have done for 30+ years. My father, Michael Gilfix, who founded the firm, he was one of the first attorneys in the country to do this. So we've been doing this for a long time, and we see the relief and the peace of mind that it can give to parents. And it's absolutely critical. If you have a special needs child, you need to understand how these work, and ideally you need to set one up.
And actually, you have a great sort of publication, a resource.
We do,
right?
we do. So we just did a couple of free seminars in Palo Alto on April 9th. Unfortunately, that already happened. But we have this book. It's called The Special Needs Trust Creation and Management Guide, and we want to make it available to viewers of this show. So if you want a copy of this, we'll provide it to you free of charge. Contact us. Go to our website, gilfix.com, and mention Bay Area people, and we'll send you a copy free of charge. This will give you a great background on how this all works.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Mark. Thank you, Karen, for being here. For more information about the Pacific Autism Center for Education, go to pacificautism.org. And for more information about Special Needs Trust, go to gilfix.com. Up next, Earth Day San Francisco returns to the Bay Area on April 18th. We'll talk about what's new at this eco-friendly street festival. And we'll also get to try a seasonal fruit dessert made by Mani Nile from Sweet Bar Bakery. That's coming up when Bay Area People continues.